So my name is Jonathan. I'll get more into myself in a second. We only have 20 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep going, and hopefully this is valuable for you. So anyone here been burned, had hallucinations, problems, issues with AI? Anyone? I have, many times. Anyone not? Who has not ever had a problem with AI? I want to talk to you afterwards. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. So this happens often. You want to feel like this. You want to just blow the thing off, right? I can't tell how many times I have felt this way, many, many times, so I just want to take it out. So my name is Jonathan Carford. My last name's obviously hard to spell, so I got a nickname called Coach K because I coach sales teams and CS teams on how to use AI and sales. Long story short, there was about 10 of us in the same office named John. My name got nicknamed Coach because, like the actual Coach K, my last name's hard to say or pronounce, so I got my nickname as Coach K. So I am the head of growth at Momentum. I own what's called the GTM AI Academy. I've had several tens of thousands of people go through the academy to learn how to use AI for marketing, sales, CS, et cetera. And then I do growth with Momentum. I was a customer before 2 years ago, and I loved it so much that I literally begged the CEO to let me come on, and thankfully let me join, and I'm now leading marketing growth for Momentum. So let's get into it. I want to go into 4 main topics. I want to talk about what I view as the core problem or challenge, the golden data that you probably already have access to, real-life examples of what we've seen AI agent be used, and then lastly, the power of a prompt, and hopefully give you a structure you can leverage in whatever technology you might be using. So everyone see this headline, April? I'm sure everyone's seen this, right? This one headline caused like this ripple effect throughout the industry that I've seen more and more people try to say, okay, if they're going to do this, then we should be doing this. And so people have been in this freak out mode of trying to figure out how do we do this because we don't want to fall behind. So then you have like Mark Benioff come out and say, hey, we have 30 to 50% of our workloads being done by AI. You guys seen this? I have a theory behind what's happening here, but still the point is this comes out and more pressure adds on. Then you have this from Duolingo. They talk about, hey, we got to do more with AI, specifically this paragraph. If you have not read their updates, you probably should. So has anyone felt this pressure of like, I got to get AI in now? Anyone felt this now? I have. Very much so. So there's this feeling as I talk to people, both individuals and companies, that we're falling behind and that everyone else is ahead of me. Anyone feel this way? Okay, good. Now I did some data because I was curious, like, is this the truth? Is it really that everyone else is ahead and you're behind, or what's the deal? So we took 1,000 calls we had this last 6 months. And it ranges from SMB to enterprise. There was a good mix, about 150 different industries. And so these are people who came in and talked to us about AI and AI adoption and agents and automation. And so I have this rich data set inside of Momentum that I was like, I want to do some research on it. So we tore it apart and we figured out a couple things. 60% of the people we talked to are way behind, like lagging across the board. Didn't matter if it was SMB or enterprise, way, way behind the times. Next would be like the kind of emerging, like they're actually aware of this happening and they want to do something about it. And very, very few is what I'd call advanced. And even those use cases are still not as advanced as it could be. So what we found was McKinsey and some others talk about that 78% of companies have adopted one use case with AI of some kind. What we found in our data, it's more like 7.6 is operational. So if you feel like you're behind, you are, but so is everybody else. So I want to hopefully take some pressure off of you that like the reality of what's being positioned or marketed is not actually the truth of what's happening internally. And I know that because we sell to people all the time who are not very advanced. Same thing here of like a lot of people are facing challenges. They describe themselves as like, we're struggling with this concept of AI. How do we do this? And almost half are still dealing with a lot of manual processes that could be done with some sort of AI agent platform of some kind. So here's another data set. A lot of reasons why projects die is based on bad data or unclean data or unstructured or not integrated. Something around data is what's holding back a lot of AI capabilities. So project time is another one. About 70 to 80% of time is spent on just preparing the data for an AI project. And people or organizations are not even ready for the AI in general. So when they come in and talk to us at Momentum, I'm asking questions. I'm like, you're not ready for advanced AI stuff. We got to get the basics involved in fundamentals. So here is, if you have no solid data foundation, that means you have very inaccurate insights or very limited insights. which leads to a lot of process breakdowns that I've seen throughout sales and customer journeys. And then AI is falling short of what it could be valued, not because the AI is at fault, but because the data is not there to power the AI. That make sense so far? Okay. So without this foundation, you produce inaccurate insights, failing to improve efficiency, and then you buy this really expensive AI tech that you're thinking, well, this is not doing what was sold to me. What's going on? We believe in Momentum, the most valuable data you have or information you have at your disposal is the conversations you have every single day with your customers. The challenge is it relies currently, at least in the past, on human to take that data and dispose it, communicate it, enter it into CRM, whatever the case might be. So your CRM is probably lying. Does anyone have a Salesforce or a HubSpot or something that they feel like is like really rich of good data? Is there any salespeople in here who absolutely love to fill in Salesforce data? Is the data inside of Salesforce important to have? So we have this gap, right? So this is the challenge. If humans are the data source, which we've been expecting to be, we have all sorts of problems. You have an 8,000-word transcript that maybe 25 words gets put into Salesforce. When you have that, that means the C-suite has no idea what in the world's going on. They have to call their top sales rep and be like, hey, what's happening with the biggest deal this quarter? I have no idea what's happening, which obviously slows down the process. Then you have the sales leaders themselves are trying to guess and saying, I think we're going to close $1 million this month, but we'll find out when I talk to my sales rep tomorrow. And then RevOps and enablement, they can't prove impact. They don't know if the sales process is being followed. We don't know if the methodology is being adopted. We don't know what's happening. And then lastly, customer insights and the most best information from your ICP and product feedback is gone. So every single team, and I'm going to zip through these real quick, every team needs this data. Finance, AEs, BDRs, whether it's themselves or cross-communication, they need this information to be able to communicate to each other what's going on so you can have this engine be running without you having to have a human get in the way of things. For CIOs and CTOs, it's all this rich data in these different platforms that don't necessarily integrate or talk to each other very well, that you can have integrated and communicating so that a tool like Momentum can feed that into different places, whether that's a human or to a system of record of some kind. So I believe the gold mine is your conversational signal. There is so much there. So whether or not you work with Momentum or not, I highly suggest you do something with some sort of NAN, Make, or whatever platform you have to capture more insight from conversations, because there is a lot there that you're missing that you could be capitalizing on. So for us, what Momentum does, it's an engine that identifies, validates, cleans, and then moves data so that it's not just this weird random prompt result you're getting from a conversation, but it's actually validated data going into your CRM so you can rely on it. That way you can have like opportunity objects into your Salesforce or opportunities or accounts or leads, whatever the case is. You have the account objects going into Salesforce itself, and then you have email or Slack or Teams, whatever your communication platform is, you can automate that process. Here, I'm going to switch gears just a hair because I think it's important to cover this. Google released a white paper, talked about AI agents. They talked about 3 things you need to have an AI agent. One is an LLM of some kind. Momentum uses 5 or 6 different LLMs, from Cohere to Claude to OpenAI to whatever the case is. Then you have some sort of tool. This, an example, is Salesforce, but that could be your calendar, could be your email, could be Slack. There's a lot of different tools. And then lastly, you need some sort of orchestration layer. So that is what Momentum is at its core. It connects things and moves data and processes around. So here's an example of one thing you could do when you have this data hooked up. You have a call. I know it says call summary, but imagine a call transcript. Momentum will go in and identify what parts of that call is important to know with this subject, which in this example is a churn risk or a KG buyer, like maybe someone's not really as invested as you thought they would be. Then it can identify, are they engaged or not? And if they're not, let's send them into a scoring model of some kind and saying, okay, they're saying some things that's telling us they're not necessarily as involved as we thought they were. And then we need to make sure that the team is aware of this so that we're not spending time on a deal that may not be as real as we thought. Does that make sense so far? Okay, cool. So another one is like next steps. So for sales reps, this is really nice so that you don't have to manually think about, okay, what's my next step? Momentum can go in, capture the next step from the conversation, already put it in there and make sure that it's ready to go. So the salesperson just says, yep, that's correct. And it clicks over to your Slack or Salesforce or Calendar or whatever the case might be, which is this here. Use case number 3 is like, here's enablement packets. So think about all the information you have in opportunity of 5 calls, 20 calls over 3 months or 9 months or whatever the case might be, a lot of information that the sales rep is like required to then communicate to the team. That's a lot of information to do over 3 months even of time. So what it does instead is we have Momentum take all the calls from the last however many times, make like a packet that has all the things that the CS team has asked for. It could be very specific to the company, whether it's industry specific or persona specific or metrics, and then give them that packet so then they can have everything they need. So the sales rep's not the bottleneck anymore. And they can have all this information automated either through Slack or against Salesforce or Teams or whatever the communication mechanism is. I'll give, I think, one more. Well, here's the one from Coaching Performance. This is, I came from the enablement coaching world, so I love this one. So there's a lot of skills being shown inside of sales calls or customer success calls. It's really hard for an enablement person or a manager to watch every single call and identify, this is a really good golden nugget. I need to share this with the team. It's really hard to do that. So what Momentum does is do it for them. So we can take that same thing, analyze the same call, say, here's where you're strong, here's where you're weak. Here's some suggestions based on the other 5 reps in your team of what they're doing well or not, and then gives that coaching to them real time. So you can say, like, we know this is working because of the results, because we have a correlation with Salesforce data. So we know if like someone has a higher revenue or not. And then we can either do one of 2 things. We can either create the dashboard for you so you can use Momentum to see the visual, or we feed the data into Snowflake or Salesforce and you can do whatever you want with it. You can categorize it or correlate however you like. So this comes down to what I call the 3 capabilities. How am I doing on time? We okay? I want to keep my time check. We're good? Okay. Let me know if we want to get to 5:10-ish. So 3 capabilities. One is a structured first-party data provider. So the information you have needs to be cleaned, validated, and then structured in a way so you go to the right data, to the right field, the right information inside of your CRM. And that needs to happen across your entire customer set. Then you have the ability to communicate. So what does a CEO need to know about your deals versus their sales rep? They're way different communication. And so you need to make sure we can automate and say, okay, CEO, you want to know when the deal was $100,000 that may be at risk versus something else. Like, when do you want to know this information? We can automate that, or just go down to the team members so we can help them automate their own workflows. Then lastly is the orchestration piece. So we like to call it business action. Your CRM, in my opinion, should be used as a business action mechanism. So anything that happens inside of Salesforce should be moving the business forward. So Momentum literally helps move the business forward faster through business action. So this is what we call a system of action and data. So CRM is a system of record. We are the system of action and data. So you're probably familiar. I'm sure everyone's prompted something here, I'm sure, right? Everyone's prompting something or other. A lot of people think this is what's happening, where it's just a transcript, one prompt, and you have an output. Ours is a little bit different. We take it very seriously to go through a lot of validation points to make sure there is, again, that cleansing, validating process is happening so that the data you get inside of your CRM is not junk, because the last thing you want is a lot of junk data in your CRM instead of no data at all. So we take it very seriously to make sure we go through each data point to make sure it's as clean and as validated as possible. So I'm going to switch gears again. If you're looking at agents, I do prompting for 6 or 7 different companies. I teach prompting at GTM Academy, at Bryant University, and a couple of other places. I love prompting. It's like one of my things I geek out on all the time. And ever since GPT-5 came out, I've been studying the GPT-5 prompting guide and learning things from them. And so I found like a framework that works pretty well with agents. So again, whether you use our platform or N8N or anything else, this is a good one to use. So it's just called GRACE. It's just an acronym for a prompting framework. The goal, I'm sure you guys are probably know this already, but hopefully I'll give you some nuggets. What are you wanting it to achieve? Obviously, the more context, the better. Rules. It says rules, but it should say role. My apologies. Who is the AI? What do you want it to conduct? I also find that using several different roles, so you say like you're a McKinsey expert and you're a finance expert, and combining roles together makes a really good output. You have advanced context. This is where I find most people lack a lot. Thank you. Is they lack a lot of context on what in the world is happening inside the system. Then you have instructions, and then lastly is examples, and this is the one that I think you should spend a lot of time on. Does the AI know what good looks like? Does it know what bad looks like? And do you have an example template you can give it to say, okay, I want you to respond exactly like this. If you do that, it does a much better job at not hallucinating because it has something to follow. Is this helpful, hopefully? Okay, good. I have a few minutes left, so I'm going to go through a couple things pretty quickly. So I'm going to skip through this because I want to get to some good stuff. So I'm going to skip through that. Thank you. This is what we call invisible agents, making sure we can have things happen throughout the process without the human having to dictate what's happening as it goes. So as part of this, one of my announcements today is we just released what's called Smart Clips. Think about Opus Clip and TikTok combined into one, where we take your videos and auto clip it down. So you decide what moments you want to have, and we auto clip it down to 15 seconds, whatever it is, to then send to you. And then you can use it for whatever you want to use it for, which is nice. We have also like account briefs, which means that it's kind of like the same theory as the close loss or close won, where we just packet something together. And so as the deal moves through the opportunities, it updates you on all the newest and latest things that's happened through email or through calls or whatever the communication is. And then obviously the coaching, where we give more of an in-depth dashboard of what you can see inside of performance. Caroline, are you here? Where is she? Not Carolina. Catalina. Okay, I didn't think she was able to come. So 11 Labs is one of our customers, and I was going to have one of them join me today, but I don't see them. So I think I'm going to pause. So with that being said, this is a prompt library that I personally wrote, 200 plus prompts. Because you're all here, please go there. This is all like go-to-market use cases, customer success, marketing, sales, etc. So if you want to use that, please enjoy. Hopefully it helps you in some way with prompts, but there's a ton of good meaty stuff in there. One of my favorites is the competitive battle card. It works awesome on deep research, by the way. So if you use that, please use deep research. It does a really good job. And I think that's it, unless anyone has some questions. I got through in time. Okay, good.